Welcome to Mine Explorers, episode 13.
Thank you for having me.
Lucky number 13. We're here. We've had a couple good guests in a row.
We have.
Some really good interviews with David and with JP.
Yep.
And now it's me and you again.
I know.
And in the meantime, I went to Japan.
You did.
Spent 10 days in Japan. I went to Tokyo, and then I went down to Osaka on the bullet train. And yeah, what a country.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting place. Had a good
I
time.
bet.
Ate a lot of fish.
Good.
Ate a lot of fish. Saw a lot of fast trains.
Yeah.
Rode some fast trains.
Just see any mines while you were there?
I didn't.
No quarries, no trucks.
No, and I think just being a greener country and with hills and mountains and stuff, it just gets a lot more hidden.
So it's like kind of tucked away instead of, because like it's hard to go anywhere in the U.S. without passing some type of mine along the way.
Yeah, you pass them along the way, but like when you're in the trees, you don't see them as much.
Right.
But when you're in the desert, they stand out. So
That's true.
believe me, I looked, especially on the bullet train, but when you're going 300 miles an hour and you're on the ground, it's hard to see. It's not like an airplane, you go 500, but you're so far off the ground, you can still see everything for a ways, but on the train, you're like down in it.
It's a blur.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I did look, and there are mines in Japan. In fact, there's a company, a junior mining company called Japan Gold, that's putting together some gold exploration projects. And if I had a longer trip, I would have stopped in to check
Didn't
it
we
out.
meet them in Toronto?
We did, yeah.
Yeah, that was
PDAC.
cool.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, but things are moving. While I was gone, the gold prices continued to go higher and higher and higher.
At an all-time high. And ironically enough, just today we found an old picture from our office 4 years ago. 4 years ago, where we wrote on the whiteboard that gold is at an all-time high. And now we're seeing that again, and we've honestly been seeing it for the last couple of years.
Yeah, and that wasn't even above 2,000.
No, I think this was around 1,800.
Yeah.
This was around 1,800 gold price in 2021, and now in 2025 we're seeing well over 3,000.
Yeah, well, 3,400 today.
Yeah.
Over 3,400. Granted, it was a holiday today, so thinner markets, a lot of Chinese buying, still driving up the gold price. But it's funny to see, and the funny thing is here, like gold was hitting all-time highs, and we thought, it's really going to drive business. And
yeah, the market's going to explode, and we're just going to expand, and then...
it didn't. And now gold is almost double what it was here. And it still hasn't, but
in 2021, who was?
Change.
I guess that was a Biden presidency, wasn't it? Because that's
21, yeah.
Yeah, Biden took over. Yeah. Interesting.
And so U.S. confidence in mining projects dropped.
Kind of
quite
dwindled
a bit.
right after that.
Now it's coming back, but not in a big way for the price where it's at.
Not in a big way yet, but it seems like it's kind of slow building. I mean, from what we've been seeing just at Burgess, like things are starting to build. It's not like it was.
Things are building, and the rubber's starting to hit the road when it comes to the executive order and a lot of the talk out of the current administration. So I wanted to talk today about the FAST-41. The first 10 projects have been identified.
Right.
So the FAST stands for, and I'm going to have notes to remember some of this, it refers to Fixing America's Surface Transportation Act of 2015.
Okay.
Since then, it's been used to create the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, which really was just the Inflation Increasing Act, and now it's including critical minerals development. So the whole idea of FAST-41 is it's supposed to improve the permitting project for large, complex infrastructure projects, which they've expanded to be things that are critical for national interest. So it's been expanded to include minerals. When it's granted this designation, projects get priority status, a public permitting dashboard that tracks progress and increases transparency, which will be very interesting.
Is that going to be a public dashboard, do you think?
It says a public permitting dashboard.
Okay.
So everyone will get access except for you. We'll make sure you're blocked.
Ah, nuts.
So you can't see it. But I'll tell you what it says.
Okay.
But only in sign language. So that's part of the act. If you really dig into the fine print.
Gosh, man.
ChatGPT told me so. It also includes a coordinated timeline for environmental reviews and permitting decisions, which is key. You need to have timelines. Like we say all the time, you set a goal or something and you don't have timelines attached to it, it's just a wish. And early engagement and conflict resolution mechanisms between agencies.
Okay.
So that one's a little more broad.
That's a little ambiguous.
Yep. But there's mining projects. There's 10 that have been identified.
Yes.
And it runs the board from lithium to copper, phosphate, potash, and antimony, which has been a big buzzword.
That's right.
So, do you want to take a guess what some of the projects are?
Well, I know what some of them are.
Do you think you can name all 10?
I cannot. No. No, I've seen the list several times, but I definitely cannot name all 10.
It's all right, I can't either, which is why I printed them out.
Yes. No, let's go through them one by one.
So, Stibnite, gold.
Yep, that's been a big one.
About in Idaho. Don't need to focus too much on that because I think we've talked about it and a lot of people are familiar with it.
Yep, and they're also doing antimony on the Stibnite one.
Yes. So that's how they got it through for critical because it's a gold project that will also produce antimony.
Right.
So their timing is great.
Yes.
Their timing is great. And I like that project because it's at a brownfield site that's a mess and they're going to clean it up as part of that. And that's been their goal since the very beginning.
Yep.
So it's a great project to show that in the United States, we can fast track permitting, we can clean up damage that mining's done in the past, we can do modern mining safely, cleanly, and we can produce multiple commodities from mines, which is great when you have polymetallic deposits. And being able to produce gold and antimony will be really key.
Absolutely. I mean, that really is a fantastic case study for mining.
Yeah, so highlights, obviously, it's late stage permitting. They got a key approval in January. They're expecting their final Army 404 wetlands permit. Website not found. Just kidding. Just happens to have a 404. It's expected mid-2025.
Okay.
And it could provide up to 35% of America's antimony demand.
Wow. That's
so
substantial.
We get that online, and Liberty Gold's new antimony spin-out project. It's really just exploration. We don't really know what's there yet, but it could be interesting. Get a couple mines online and...
Are they processing the antimony on site at the Stibnite, or is that going elsewhere?
I believe so. I don't know if antimony processing is particularly difficult, but I know very little about it.
Same, right.
I don't think very many people do.
But we use it.
Next one is kind of a surprise to see on the list, especially second on the list. The Warrior Met coal mines in Alabama, particularly the Blue Creek project. Now, met coal, as you know, means metallurgical coal. So we're not talking about thermal coal, we're talking about met coal, which is key for steel making.
Right.
Which is key for bringing back steel production to the United States, which is a big push. Currently, the United States produces quite a bit of met coal, but a lot of it's exported, almost all of it.
Really?
We've worked on a lot of good projects in Virginia, West Virginia for met coal that all had export contracts.
Interesting.
Yeah. But this project in Alabama would be a key one. And so development status, it's in development and permitting. It'll be one of the largest U.S. coal mine expansions in recent history, which isn't really saying much, unfortunately.
No, coal's been kind of going downhill for a minute.
Yeah, it's getting replaced by thermal coal largely, by natural gas, things like that.
But there's still a lot of, I mean, we talked about this on a previous episode, there's a lot of downstream products that are made from coal.
Right.
So we still need it.
Yeah, and this metallurgical coal, anyway, it'll be a big deal. So this expansion is going to boost the mine's output by 60%.
Wow.
So that's a big deal. And it's part of the coal resource lies under federally managed minerals. So they needed to jump through some extra hoops and get some things permitted. but this should hopefully help them streamline, which is good because met, coal, big sources are like Australia, Russia, things like that. There's some uncertainty. There's definitely some interesting things because, Australia could decide to sell most of their met coal to China. Russia could do the same,
right?
Which would really shake global markets. So having more domestic supply is really key. The next one was a surprise to me because, one, we worked on it and took some of the very first samples.
Yes, we did.
And we're very involved in early permitting for exploration, claim staking, very involved in that. And that's the McDermitt Lithium project, which is still an exploration project, but they believe it may have some of the highest concentration of lithium in the United States, and it's a massive deposit.
It is a massive deposit
of pounds of potential lithium there. And they have, they're still under exploration, but they're going to a full plan of operations to really expand their exploration across. We helped them file their early stage, I call it exploration permit.
3809.
3809, yes. We helped them file and revise a couple of early 3809s on a few acres here and there, which got really fantastic results. But now they're looking for a plan of operations to do thousands of acres of drilling, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that one's really exciting. I noticed that the American Exploration Mining Association helped push that one through.
Which is fantastic. And good on Jindalee for being involved. Like I know when we went to GSN and we've been involved in different conferences, like they've been there, they've been part of the conversations. And Lindsay, who really started the company, was there with Pip, when they first came out to scout it out, and they hired us to go out and help them with all that early stage stuff. He's been very involved and come over here multiple times to make sure there's a good U.S. presence. And so I think that helps.
Definitely. I mean, getting involved in the local mining associations and national mining associations is really smart for a junior exploration company.
Yep, and the AEMA really focuses on the exploration angle, which is really key. So, early stage lithium exploration, and it should be noted that the McDermitt caldera, the south part of the caldera, so the north half, the Oregon half of the caldera is Jindalee. They have a great big land package there and a huge resource. And then the south part is Thacker Pass, which is not on this list because they're already further along. They're in development.
Right.
But between the two mines, if Jindalee's was to advance to that stage, provide a huge chunk of the U.S.'s lithium. But along those lines, and talking about high grades, so in Arkansas, there's a brine formation called the Smackover that's been drilled and explored a lot as part of oil exploration. And Standard Lithium and other companies have been drilling and testing and found really high grades of lithium in the brines there. And as we know, brine extraction is generally cheaper, easier. This is in Arkansas. So the Southwest Arkansas Lithium Project from Standard Lithium and Equinor is on the FAST-41 list. So it's one of the two lithium projects on the list. And this one, they are hoping to use DLE, so direct lithium extraction,
right,
which saves you all the evaporation ponds and the huge footprints and everything. Much smaller footprint, much more environmentally friendly, still largely unproven at a large scale. I know there's pilot projects going, and I know there's been a lot of success, but I don't think a major commercial mines come online with DLE. This may be the first one. But they have a $225 million grant from the Department of Energy to test the project and push along the DLE technology.
Wow.
So they're in advanced, they're doing feasibility now. So they're through exploration, they're through PEA, PFS. They've got grant money. They're doing feasibility. They're working on production wells, pipelines, processing facilities. They've got some other things to do. And then obviously one of the big things is building the DLE plant on a scale and testing it at scale, which would be huge because if they can do that, there are hundreds of other projects around the world.
They would really just open things up for
DLE.
lithium.
Yep, because I think a lot of investors are still, I don't know if a lot, I'm still a little skeptical about DLE because it worked in the lab, it's working at the pilot scale, but then the big production scale, I think it will work, but
it needs to be
believing.
proven, and it needs to be done correctly so we know it works, or it doesn't.
Right.
Yeah.
So, we've got a really wide spectrum here. So, the next mine on the list, guess the commodity.
It's not copper.
It's one you've worked with before here in Utah.
I don't know. Is uranium on the list?
Nope.
Huh.
It's phosphate.
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 Okay.
Caldwell Canyon.
Oh, okay.
And it's a Bayer project.
Huh.
Bayer, the big chemicals,
Yeah.
pharmaceuticals company. Yep, so they're, I apologize, I'm getting a cold, or I'm in the middle of a cold, like 4 or 5 days in. So probably not contagious, but I sound awful.
Keep it to yourself.
Yeah, I'll keep it to myself. It's a phosphate mine, and phosphate is key for fertilizers, industrial chemicals, agriculture, food security. Southwestern Idaho is a powerhouse for phosphate. 25% of America's phosphate already comes from southeastern Idaho. There's a lot of production from Simplot.
Yeah, that's here in Utah.
Yeah, and Simplot here in Utah produces some, but largely it's Idaho. And so this is really important. Major global suppliers currently are Morocco, Russia, China. So once again, the unreliability. So it's key to get phosphate production locally because it's critical for industrial scale farming, which feeds the world.
Right.
So this one's really key and something I didn't expect to see on the radar.
Where did you say that one was located?
Southeastern Idaho.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they've had some regulatory hurdles. They're in a revised permitting and environmental review stage. It's led by P4 Production, a subsidiary of Bayer. It initially received federal approval in 2019, but their permits got vacated in 2023 over environmental concerns. And then now they have a chance to do it again. So it's been in permitting for a long time. This should help. They're looking at a 40-year mine life.
Wow.
And it'll produce a lot of phosphate and it'll sustain about 800 jobs. So talking about a serious operation.
Very cool.
Yeah. And, fertilizer supply and pricing has been really volatile. So this is going to help with that. I think it's exciting. And then also in the north, consider Idaho to be the north. I suppose it goes all the way up to the Canadian border. So northern U.S., we have the Libby exploration project in northwestern Montana, formerly known as the Montanore deposit. It's a large silver and copper deposit that's been stuck in permitting for decades. Decades, which is why it really hasn't been talked about a lot. But Hecla got it on the list. Their angle is really silver is key for electronics, solar power, copper, obviously no brainer. We need as much copper as we can get. Silver is very important for all of the EV power grid, everything. So they're still in an exploration and evaluation stage. Obviously, if they've been in permitting for decades, they probably have old feasibilities, and so now they're having to go through and re-update everything.
I can't imagine how much money they've spent over the last decade to just keep those permits current and in the system just to be stagnant.
Yeah, and Montana, Montana had some major environmental problems from mining, and so they really got strict about it. And while they have potential world-class mines there,
they make it
things
hard
have been very slow. People have been hesitant to invest there. Hecla obviously has been in Idaho, up in Silver Valley forever. They know the area, and so they've been slowly plugging away. But they're working on an exploration plan of operations. They're going to do a whole bunch of underground drilling. They're going to open and extend an underground adit. So this could be pretty interesting. But, this one is once again nowhere near mining, while, these other ones, aside from Jindalee, could go into production pretty quickly. Like Stibnite could go into production really quickly. The operation in the Smackover with Standard Lithium could go into production pretty quickly. And then, obviously the met coal mines in Alabama are already operating, so that's an expansion. But this is a good, solid, early stage exploration, really positive for Hecla, good for investors there as well. And then coming closer to home, continuing with the copper, we have the Lisbon Valley Copper Project here in Utah. And this is another effort to restart and expand the Lisbon Valley Copper Mine, which you don't hear a lot about because it's not nearly the size of producer as Bingham Canyon or some of the others, so it stays pretty quiet. But the interesting thing is it's ran on and off over the years. Even in the 2000s, it's been in production. But now they're going back at it again with an in situ recovery.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's where you pump the fluids down, you dissolve the copper, and then you pump it out and you do in situ leaching. So this will be pretty revolutionary.
Have they done that before with copper?
It's been done with uranium. It's been done with lots of other water-soluble minerals. Copper, I don't think so, but I could be wrong. It's never been done on a huge scale, I know that. And this will be a pretty big scale. It's just hard because scales are so big for copper.
Yes.
Something like this is still tiny for a copper mine. I don't know what their production is going to be. But I think this is actually a really interesting one that we should look into further. We should maybe see if we can go down there and take a look around and learn about it.
Yeah.
It's here in Utah, and it comes up all the time in different things, and I see it, but it's just something that doesn't get discussed a lot. But really interested to learn more about the in situ. But anyway, it's on the list. It's one of the 10.
Very good.
Silver Peak is the last lithium mine on the list. Silver Peak is in Nevada. It's in production. It's the only current lithium mine in production. It makes a hell of a lot of sense to expand a lithium mine that's already in production.
Absolutely.
So operating mine, seeking a permit and approval to grow in size and capacity. They want to extend by about 1,600 acres, drill more wells, build more evap ponds, and expand. That's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer to me. Back to the fertilizer angle, we have Michigan Potash Project.
Oh, that's right.
Of all the mines up in Michigan and around that area, this is the one that made the list, potash. So the Michigan Potash Project in Osceola County, Michigan has been identified as a priority for fast tracking. So once again, fertilizer, key. Without fertilizer, we all die, or most of us.
Well, they use potash for different things as well.
Yeah. So. Make acids. Yep. They're going to make salt, food grade salt.
Cool.
And potash is listed as a critical mineral, as it should be. So they're working on their final permits. They have state permits. They need federal permits. They've gotten an $80 million grant from the USDA. They have a potash. They have an air quality permit. And they want to produce about 800,000 tons of potash a year.
Okay.
It's pretty serious.
Good.
Yep.
Very good.
Yeah, so it's another one. And then, the last one that I don't need notes for because I talk about it all the time.
It is the one that's been talked about the most.
It's resolution.
Probably any of the...
Can you guess what it is?
The resolution mine.
Right,
yeah, you just said it.
I know. I spoiled it when I was going to ask you, but you knew.
I already knew.
Yeah, resolution. So resolution.
Yep.
No-brainer, right?
Absolutely. I mean, they already have the head frame. They already have the exploration. They already know what's there. It's
They've
just
spent billions of dollars.
getting through that final stage of permitting.
And the land swap.
Yes, in the land swap.
The land swap is key, and that's really been the contentious hang-up point. And once again, with any mineral, you don't get to decide where it is. If you could, would move all the mines closer to ports, would put all the mines on the rail. They'd all have fantastic infrastructure and sensitive, would put them all in the middle of Death Valley where nothing lives and nothing grows. And
something grows anywhere.
It's true, but there's better environments. But we don't get to pick where minerals are.
We don't get to pick where minerals are, but we do get to choose how we extract them.
Right,
and that's the important part.
And I think that's a good note to end on today.
I think so.
Thanks for listening.
Until next time.
Until next time. It's Mine Explorers, episode 13.
Kong.